2.0 way of organizing themselves. They just do not participate in those. It is not worth it because government does not offer very real power shifts in terms of offering decision power to, if you talk about defining the money, where the money goes. You can give your opinion, but nothing more. No real power shifts. There's also a lack of, how do you say it? There's no wish, because there's no need for each other's involvement. You just don't want to do it. It's just a lot of extra work, and why would you do that? So, my analysis is that there is a kind of stereotypic mutual mistrust on both sides, on the side of governments towards citizens and on the side of citizens towards governments. They mistrust the quality of each other's participation and they mistrust the quantity of each other's participation. What you see is on the government side, they really don't see that citizens would be able to give high quality input if they open up consultation spaces, for example. And also, they also complain about the number of people that come to those sites. If you look at the other side, if you look at citizens, then they really don't trust governments to really offer real power shifts, and they don't trust governments and they don't expect governments to process their input in a good way and to reply to them what they did with those inputs. So there's a lot of mistrust on both sides. So if you look at the future of e-participation, it is not so much about ICT. That's not the challenge, that's not the problem, in my view. Trust in citizen participation on both sides, that is almost a cultural challenge. How do you find solution for this trust issue? I have some ideas how you can do that. The basis of all is to be reciprocal. You not only give, but you should also receive the things that other people give. And also you have to return. And that's the kind of sociological perspective on it. You not only give information, you not only give possibilities to participate, but you really should receive it and return it. And that's what's missing, in my view, a lot of the times. So you not only should bond, but you should also bridge between all those initiatives and people who are interested in doing that. So what can governments do to build trust, to give, receive, and return? I think they should much more open up the data that they have. A lot of data is closed, not available, not in a reusable way. And that should be one thing that they could do. Another thing they could do is open up their processes for policy development, but also processes for decision making, more democratic institutions that are there. That's a very difficult question and a very political sensitive issue to tackle. What governments also could do is organize co-productive reflexivity, as I call it. Just talk about citizens, about organizations, how they can do their processes and their data in a different way. Talk about that on a more abstract level. Also promote e-skills and e-awareness within their organizations, because those skills and awareness is very much lacking in a lot of local governments. As I said, it's maybe just one or two persons who are very enthusiastic about it, and most of the other people hardly know what Web 2.0 is. And that's a problem, of course. Also invest in your external network. Truly listen, that's what I call. Not listen, no, truly listen. Put your ears where the energy is, because citizens are organizing themselves in a lot of ways online. You can go there, you can listen. One thing you can do extra is you participate, you be available and visible as a civil servant in those discussions taking place in their own places. So bridge to those networks. What they also should do, in my view, much more than they do now, is to stimulate initiatives to grow, to exist, and to help them with attention, help them with money and with expertise, and help them with information. So stimulate the growth of new initiatives by citizens. And last thing, also include those initiatives that are already there in the processes that you organize within your own government organization. The last thing, make e-participation worth it. Offer real power shift, I mentioned it earlier. And, what can government do to build trust? Last thing I wanted to say is follow the citizens' agenda and not so much your own political agenda. If you start from the issues that really matters to citizens, you can build from there. You should reverse your perspective as a government. So what can citizens do to build trust? I think that they should much more inform governments, also give information. They should inform governments about their activities, about their views, about their network, what they do. Be visible and speak up. Much more than they do now, because a lot of times the local governments and civil servants do not know the existence of all those online networks and other initiatives. Make also explicit what you expect from government. If you want to do something with the government, think about what do you expect. Do you expect some data that you need? Do you expect money to start developing a site or etc.? Do you need just some expertise for anything, or just want some time and attention? Just something to talk with. A third thing that citizens can do, bridge with other initiatives. That's lacking most of the times. So not only bond, but also bridge, expand your network much more than they do now. A fourth thing, plug into pre-existing democratic institutions. A lot of initiatives are fed up with the government, are fed up with the democratic institutions, and they want to bypass it, and in that way, indirect way, have influence on the political system and the decisions that they take. I think that is that's one thing you can do, but you should never neglect the existing institutions that are there, because that's where the power is, and you should always bridge in an important way with those institutions. You cannot neglect them. That should not be wise to do. And never stop investing in society. That's the last thing citizens can do. Always start new initiatives, mobilize people, and speak up what you think, and show the agenda, the social agenda that you as a citizen think is important, in addition to the political agenda. As I'm here on a Hackers at Random conference, I just wanted to think what hackers could do to help e-participation the next few years become a little bit more mature. In my view, what hackers could and should do is surprise and confront governments as much as they can with new concepts, with new prototypes and examples, and organize it in a reflexive way. So invite governments and citizens to talk about those concepts and find ways to develop truly working prototypes, for example. But do that very actively. Do not wait for a government to invite you, but just promote yourself as people who have ideas to make things better, to make service delivery better, to make democratic processes better, etc. Use available data, because there is already some data available. From our ministry, we just have an open data contest in which we invite all kinds of people to think of data that they need, and make that explicit. Use available data, but also ask for the data that you think are still missing. And our ministry has the responsibility to look for ways to make those data available. That's the kind of policy priority. Here again, bridge. I think that's a central concept in my analysis. Bridge, talk and co-produce with government and citizens. Never stop talking with as much organizations and people as you can. That's the most important thing to do. And maybe I'm not very much informed about how the hackers world is organized, but joint forces would help government. They are used to talk with kind of representative organizations. So if you are able to join forces and come up with a kind of joint perspective or joint message towards governments, that would make it more natural for governments to talk with you. And last thing, be polite, positive and patient. That's very human, basic interaction suggestions, but if I talk a lot with local governments and they complain about the negativity in their interactions with citizens. And I understand it for a part, but it would help to be a little bit more polite and positive in the interaction with governments. And last thing, that might be the best thing to do as a hacker, just start working for a government, because that's much more easy to have influence if you are within a government organization than you are outside and try to change things from a more distance. So start working for a government, that would help a lot. Some concluding remarks. Trust is a problem, and it requires reciprocity. Give, receive, and return. That's what I call it. You should do all three of it actively with as much people as you can. Also, in my view, innovation and change will always come from unexpected recommendations of initiatives, of people, of ideas. So really try to bridge and bond and whatever you can to find new energy and new ideas. Be polite, positive, and patient. That's also an advice. Within government, things do not go very fast. That's my own experience. It takes really a while, and it depends on the political, the minister of the major of whatever who has the real power. It takes a while to change, so have patience. The government always walks behind a few years, and have faith towards the future. That will conclude my presentation, and I have written up some questions that I have for you that might help organizing the discussion and questions that you might have for me, but I really am looking for inside views from hackers, from you, how hackers can help governments in their open data activities, in their becoming more interactive, and how do you bridge between government and citizens. So those are the main questions. I have opened up a space, trust20.ning.com, in which you can, if you feel like having a discussion with me or any other people who are present in this room, to continue discussing it afterwards. But I want to give the floor now to you.
Sorry, just got audio there. We'll open up the floor to a few questions that you might have for Arnu. Anyone has a hand up? Good. Okay. I am the roving mic.
You seem to suggest that there's three equal parts in this matter of trust, where government, citizens, and hackers need to work together to cooperate, to make progress. But don't you think that the burden here is much more on the government? I think the government has a very long history of distrusting citizens and undermining the citizens' trust in the government. Mm-hmm. In particular, particularly last decade or something like that, many Western governments have started treating citizens like potential criminals by making ID required, by allowing searching in lots of places, trying to get a tighter grip on the lives of citizens. You say that citizens need to make their wishes clear to the government, and for a long time citizens did. In particular in the Netherlands, I remember a big student protest about a decade back or something, which was peaceful but violently crushed by police intervention. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing does enormous damage to the public trust in their own government. So, Well, what do you think about the burden on the government in particular to, another example by the way, a lot of initiatives that do come from citizens, where a lot of citizens like to feel like they're participating, give their opinions, and then they're subsequently ignored by the government, and they decide to do something else anyway. The creation of Eiburg in Amsterdam, for example, lots of other local projects.
I think you're right in your analysis that that the government is really has a problem in the last few years, 10, 20 years, that that is difficult. The damage that has been done to the trust of citizens in government is difficult to take away. But on the other way, my analysis is not so much who is guilty in some way, but we have now a situation of mutual mistrust in each other. So how do you can bypass that mutual mistrust? That's my main concern. I'm not looking for kind of just a single one who is responsible for this situation. That will not help.
Sorry, we just got a handful. I can see this is going to be a lively question time.
Yes, I'm Rijn Rustema. I run the mentioned petitions website, and I think the question is related to your question. We should ask which government, because we have the government that governs, and we have representatives that are in the opposition, and we have civil servants, a lot of them, and we have local levels and national levels and transnational levels, and people are quite often very dissatisfied with what the government does, regering, those in control, and completely agree what the opposition does, and they feel they're being ignored. Or they have very good relations with somebody on a local level, but on a national level, it's completely different. So how to tackle all this web, which we in the Netherlands call overheid, it's something over you, but we have so many hierarchies, and it's for citizens, it's them, it's one amorphous big whole, it's the other side. And this makes it very difficult to create a relation of trust, because it's impossible to have a relation with a blob. Mm-hmm. How to make the government transparent in that way, just the hierarchy of it, because it probably will remain hierarchical. Yeah.
The hierarchy is a real problem in this issue, but one thing you just need to do is to start doing things and start from the issues, from the agenda of citizens, I think, and build from there. I don't believe in big reflections on democratic systems and how they operate and how the organization could be different. I think that will lead to nowhere, or just a long discussion. One thing that is interesting that that we have on the national level kind of advisory boards, and the VRR, the scientific advisory board, is going to the ROB, that's focusing on the what's the English word for it? Just the way our government is organized, is focusing just on this topic on e-democracy and e-participation the next year. So maybe they will find some suggestions for us to change things in positive effect.
Niels Elgaard, IT Political Association of Denmark. Our experience is it's not, and we are probably like Holland, it's not very hard actually it's not very hard actually to interact and talk with politicians. We like to talk and get input and all that. But it's the hard struggles that's the problem when you have a powerful opponents. When you talk about software patents, the new extension of copyright, in Holland you have this invasion of privacy, like your new travel GPS-based systems and that kind of things. And that's when the politician just can't say yes to you because they have some obligations or lobbyists on the other side. And that's where it gets hard, but just to talk to politicians and have them listen to you is easy.
I had some trouble understanding what you said. I'm sorry. Maybe we can talk afterwards then. Is that okay? Sorry.
In 2006, the Actio Popularis law was abolished in the Netherlands, and this contradicts your initiative. I mean, your initiative is very nice, but why the abolishment of the Actio Popularis? And I would like to say that last week, Ad van Rooij is a famous environmental lawyer. His room was raided by the police, by 10 policemen, and pictures were taken of his bedroom, and he hasn't. The only thing he did was filing law cases against the production of CCA wood and the environmental pollution by the Amercentrale with burning that wood. So everything I've seen until now is guaranteed by so much action of the police. So I thought, well, this is worthwhile for the newspapers in the Netherlands. So I wrote a letter to all the newspapers, and that they didn't react. And then I thought, well, the only thing I can do is write a letter to the Chinese government that the Dutch government doesn't have a right to say something about human rights. And the Chinese television and radio station immediately reacted. So that's the only thing I could think of.
Before the web, when citizens wanted to talk to government, they organized themselves in social, cultural, sports organization, labor organization, what we call in Dutch middenveld, and which was also practical for government because they had one point of contact when they wanted feedback on policies. Now, do you see a role for these traditional intermediaries in the digital world as well? Could they organize the digital dialogue? Have you seen successful examples of this? So, for example, when it comes to privacy, citizens might be more inclined to give their data to these intermediaries and not directly to government.
I really know. It's an interesting issue. I really don't, well, the way, the extent to which citizens can organize themselves, that's your question in relation to privacy issue. The sound is really, very sorry, but...
Last question from the floor.
Okay, this may be a bit pessimistic, but your view on the subject to bridge, yeah. In my opinion, the basic need for the government is to control and regulate. Now, the citizens you speak of want exactly the opposite of that. How do you propose to bridge that?
How do I propose to bridge the gap?
With such a difference in opinion. I mean, there is distrust, yes, but exactly because of that, in my opinion. How do you propose to bridge such a wide gap when the views are opposite to each other?
Well, that's interesting. I didn't say that it was easy to do, to bridge, especially when you have different views and opinions, for example. But I only want to say that I don't think it is a good situation if you have a lot of communities bonded. Yeah? They have almost the same opinion, the same view on things. That talks quite easy with each other, of course. You just confirm each other's view on reality, but there are a lot of other perspectives and views, and I want to say, try to bridge with those. It is, of course, it is difficult and almost unnatural to do, but maybe another organization feels responsible to organize this bridging between these organizations. You can organize it in several ways, but it's true, it's not natural to do it themselves, but I just want to make a plea from try to do it, but not only with citizen initiatives, but also with initiatives from governments. And bridging, I think, will help the dynamics grow, and to join forces would be good to do, I think. Also for just broaden up the perspective on things. But it is difficult, yeah.
In closing, and with a thank you, I'd like to say that it's very easy to be standing in the citizen's shoes and be critical of government for not engendering trust. But it takes a special sort of person inside government who will stand up and say, hey, this is happening and it's not a good thing and we should change it, and who will front up to a gathering like this and be willing to ask hard questions and answer them in difficult ways and hear what people have to say. And sometimes those rare people cop lots of flack from the organizations they're in, so they're kind of having to fighting fires on two fronts, outside and inside. So I would like you to please put your hand together and give a very special thank you to Arnout for coming today. The next talk that's on in here is Tempest for the Casual Election Hacker by Andreas... No? Oh, it's changed. I lie. Who is...
This one, the Bits of Freedom.
Oh, right, sorry. Appropriately, the next section on here, very appropriately, is the relaunch of Bits of Freedom by Ott van Dalen. So please stay for that.